Look around at the home services industry today in 2026. Picture a massive commercial parking lot filled with 30 brand new service trucks, all bearing glossy, freshly printed logos. To the neighbors, it looks like an absolute empire. To competitors, it is the ultimate symbol of success. But step inside the owner's private office, behind those closed doors, and you will find a human being drowning in debt, crushed by unrelenting overhead, and losing sleep every single night. For the past 2 decades, the home services sector, from HVAC, plumbing, and roofing to electrical and commercial cleaning, has been poisoned by one classic illusion: that scaling up is the only path to wealth. We were taught that if you want to make real money, you have to buy more trucks, hire more techs, sign leases on bigger office spaces, and flood the entire city with your brand. But the harsh economic reality of 2026 is proving the exact opposite. A wave of large-scale service companies running dozens of vehicles and managing bloated administrative teams are struggling every single day just to survive. They carry millions of dollars in top-line revenue, yet their final bottom-line net profit margin is painfully thin, a shocking 3 to 5%. Meanwhile, right around the corner, a smart independent contractor, a solo operator running a lean operation, drives a single well-maintained truck, works a steady 40 hours a week, and quietly takes home a clean 35 to 50% net profit margin. They don't just take home more cold hard cash, they enjoy complete freedom over their time and peace of mind. How can a single operator model completely crush a local multi-truck fleet in financial efficiency? How is the fixed cost trap swallowing legacy service companies whole? And how can a solo contractor build a 6-figure income empire leveraging artificial intelligence in 2026? Let's break down the exact numbers and examine this reality together. To understand what is truly happening, we have to look at actual numbers on the books. In business, top-line revenue is just a vanity metric. Bottom-line net profit is what actually keeps the lights on and pays for your life. Corporate presentation tone. Let us compare 2 real-world business models operating in the 2026 home services space side by side. News reporter voice. First, consider the large fleet enterprise. This company operates 20 service trucks running non-stop, generating an impressive top-line revenue of $3 million a year. On paper, $3 million sounds incredible, but look closely at where that money actually goes. Maintaining 20 vehicles consumes about 15% of total revenue, roughly $450,000 annually, in truck leases, depreciation, commercial fleet insurance, and routine maintenance. To coordinate those 20 trucks, they have to maintain a heavy front office, staffed with dispatchers, call takers, inventory managers, and accountants. This administrative overhead swallows another 20% of revenue, or $600,000 every year. Then comes the cost of customer acquisition. When you have to feed a giant machine, you're forced to constantly spend heavily on marketing. Their customer acquisition costs soak up 14% of revenue, equal to $420,000. Add in field technician wages, repair materials, worker compensation, and liability insurance, which take up 46%, about $1.38 million. Once all those massive bills are paid, their net profit margin sits at a fragile 5%. The actual net profit the owner takes home at the end of the year is just $150,000. Enthusiastic ad voice. Now let's look at the second model, a tech-optimized solo contractor. He has no fleet, no commercial office lease, and no administrative staff. His total annual revenue is $450,000, less than 1/6 of the big company's top line. Conversational tone. His fixed expenses for his single truck come out to roughly $24,000 a year. Calm. His administrative overhead is essentially zero because his entire scheduling, quoting, invoicing, and customer follow-up pipeline is handled automatically through integrated AI tools. Understated. His marketing spend is remarkably low at about 7% of revenue, or $31,500, because he focuses on high-margin specialized jobs and a loyal recurring client base. Natural tone. Material costs and his own compensation take up roughly 25%, or $112,500. Triumphant. The result? Voice rising. His net profit margin hits 42%. Excited. The actual net profit sitting in his bank account at the end of the year is $189,000. Slow and deliberate. Look closely at those final 2 numbers. Tense. The owner of the big company carries millions in liability, manages 25 employees, works 80 exhausting hours a week, and walks away with $150,000. The solo operator works intelligently, carries zero debt, controls his own schedule, and pockets $189,000. Why does this contradiction exist? Because the large company fell straight into a deadly trap known as the productivity gap. The productivity gap occurs the moment the most skilled craftsman in the company steps out of the field and sits behind a desk to become a manager. When you are a master technician out in the field, every hour you spend on site generates direct revenue. When you service an HVAC system or replace a main water line, you bring in $150 to $200 for every hour of labor. That is real, tangible value creation. But when you scale up and take a seat in the manager's chair, you stop producing direct revenue. Instead of being a profit center, you turn yourself into a fixed overhead cost for the business. Rather than applying your high-level craft, you now spend 80% of your day mediating internal staff conflicts, redispatching schedules because a tech ran late, handling angry callbacks from jobs botched by inexperienced hires, and driving around putting out operational fires. Hours of work that generate zero income. It gets worse when you consider administrative bloat. In the modern service industry, there is an unforgiving financial relationship known as the 1-to-3 rule. Every time you hire one back-office employee, a receptionist, a fleet coordinator, or a dispatcher who does not directly carry tools and bill hours, you are forced to hire at least 3 full-time field technicians just to generate enough gross revenue to cover the salary, benefits, and workplace overhead of that single administrative worker. Think about the sheer weight of that requirement. Just to pay for one office receptionist and a warehouse supervisor, you have to keep 6 field technicians fully booked without interruption. But market demand is never a straight line. When economic downturns hit, when seasonal lulls arrive, or when mild weather softens repair demand, your revenue drops instantly. Yet your truck payments are still due to the bank every month. Office payroll must be met, and insurance premiums stay fixed. Fixed costs never shrink just because revenue does. That is when the razor-thin 5% margin disappears, plunging the big company into heavy monthly losses after just a short market dip. Beyond administrative overhead, the biggest hidden drain on a large fleet's bottom line is daily operational waste. Industry statistics in 2026 show that in companies running between 10 and 50 service trucks, an average of 30% of a technician's workday is completely wasted on non-billable activities. Break down that lost 30%. First, there's manual data entry. Technicians spend hours every week filling out paperwork, logging reports, capturing compliance photos, and typing information back and forth between disconnected software platforms. Second, there's inefficient routing. Office dispatchers, lacking real-time traffic context or optimal routing algorithms, regularly send a tech across town to handle a minor job, only to route them all the way back to where they started for the next call. Sitting stuck in gridlock while paying a tech hourly wages is literally burning money through the exhaust pipe. Third, there's poor inventory preparation. A technician arrives at a homeowner's property only to realize they're missing a crucial replacement part, forcing a 1 to 2 hour trip back to the supply house or local distributor. In an 8-hour workday, your technician is only generating billable revenue for about 5.5 hours. Yet, as the business owner, you're paying wages, fuel, and vehicle wear for the full 8 hours. That 30% leakage happens silently every single day across 20 or 30 technicians, opening a massive financial hole that drains the business dry. This is precisely where the technological shift of 2026 changes everything for the solo operator. In 2026, customer expectations have transformed. Commanding homeowners demand speed, transparency, and flawless execution. The cost to acquire a new customer lead has climbed significantly. If you pay good money to generate an inbound inquiry, but take 30 minutes to respond with a quote, that customer has already moved on to someone else. Compare the customer experience between these two models when an emergency plumbing or electrical issue strikes. At the large company, the customer calls the main line. The call goes to a front desk receptionist who writes down details on a pad or into an old CRM, promising that a manager will call back. The dispatch manager eventually reviews the ticket, looks for an open slot, and calls the customer back hours later with an estimate. By the time that callback happens, the homeowner has already booked another provider online. Now watch how a tech-optimized solo operator handles that exact same call using a 2026 AI assistant. The moment a customer sends a message or submits a request, an AI dispatch agent responds instantly in real time. The AI analyzes the customer's description, identifies the exact issue, anticipates required parts, checks the solo operator's calendar, calculates real-time routing routes, and sends back an accurate, competitive quote with guaranteed arrival slots. It all happens automatically within seconds. While the large corporation is still routing messages between departments, the solo operator using AI has already secured the job at a strong margin. An AI assistant never arrives late, never demands a raise, and never calls in sick. It operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It effectively performs the workload of a 3-person administrative team, handling intake, scheduling, reminders, invoicing, and post-service review automation. Furthermore, AI continuously optimizes travel routes based on live traffic data, clustering appointments to keep windshield time to an absolute minimum. By reclaiming that wasted 30% of the day, AI allows a solo operator to complete 1 or 2 extra jobs every day without working overtime. That is how a single skilled worker leveraging technology produces the output of an entire legacy team. If these financial facts have not already shattered the myth of growth at all costs, look at 3 major structural shocks hitting traditional home service companies today. The first shock is spiraling supply chain and fleet maintenance costs. Vehicle purchase prices, fuel rates, and especially commercial liability insurance for large fleets have skyrocketed. Revenue generated by junior apprentices, who typically work slower and carry higher callback rates, no longer covers the elevated insurance premiums and asset depreciation of the trucks they drive. Adding more vehicles simply compounds your financial risk. The second shock is the retention feedback loop. Consider this common story. You invest thousands of dollars recruiting an inexperienced helper. You spend 2 years training him into a skilled technician, sharing your customer base and operational methods. What happens once he becomes fully proficient? He resigns, buys a used truck, sets up affordable AI tools, and immediately becomes your direct competitor down the street. He can undercut your pricing by 20% because he carries no office rent and no management payroll. You pay to train your own replacement. The third shock is service quality dilution. When you perform the work yourself, service quality is a 10 out of 10. Clients trust you for your craftsmanship, honesty, and attention to detail. But when you hire 20 technicians, average service quality drops to a 5 or 6. It takes only one careless employee acting unprofessionally to destroy a brand reputation built over a decade. The cost of unbilled callbacks to fix bad work eats up whatever tiny profit margin remains. Meanwhile, homeowner psychology in 2026 favors personal connection. Clients are willing to pay premium rates when they know the person entering their home is the actual business owner, a seasoned master craftsman, backed by seamless automated scheduling that rivals any modern tech platform. Does this mean we should abandon all ambition for growth and remain stuck working as a job-bound soloist forever? No. The answer is not to stop growing, but to redefine what growth actually means. Success in the modern service industry is not measured by the number of trucks parked in your yard or how many employees call you boss. True success is measured by net cash flow into your bank account and the personal freedom you retain. That is why the sharpest contractors are moving toward a superior model, the Solo Plus model. The Solo Plus model rests on 3 strategic pillars. Pillar 1, a lean core. You keep your core operations strictly small, either just yourself or a tiny team of top-tier elite specialists. You deploy an AI ecosystem to automate all administrative tasks, marketing, dispatching, and accounting. This keeps your fixed expenses near zero and frees up 100% of your bandwidth for high-value, complex jobs with margins above 50%. Pillar 2, focus on high-value niche services. Instead of bidding on every cheap handyman job just to keep fleet trucks rolling, you use AI data insights to target specialized work that pays top dollar. You leave the low-margin, high-friction work to the big fleet companies to fight over. Pillar 3, flexible capacity via strategic subcontractors. When peak seasons hit and service calls surge, you do not buy trucks or take on permanent overhead. Instead, you use an AI coordination system to dispatch verified, high-quality, independent subcontractors. You share project profits fairly on a per-job basis. When demand cools off, your operational footprint instantly shrinks back to baseline, leaving you with zero structural overhead. The Solo Plus model gives you ultimate flexibility. You command the operational speed and power of a large enterprise through AI, while keeping the high margins, low stress, and freedom of a lean, independent owner. The reality of the home services market in 2026 is clear. Expanding through traditional asset accumulation and heavy headcount is the fastest path to burnout and financial distress. Scale is no longer a moat. Agility, low overhead, and mastery of AI automation are the true competitive advantages. The choice is yours. Will you continue chasing the illusion of traditional scale, carrying the weight of dozens of trucks and heavy payroll for a risky 5% return? Or will you streamline your operations, embrace AI, and transition to the Solo Plus model to maximize your net income and reclaim your life? What business model are you currently running in your service business? Are you doubling down on fleet expansion or leaning into AI automation? Share your thoughts and experience in the comments below. Thank you for listening to today's strategic breakdown. Make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next industry analysis. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.